Youts, Nuch Abti. In this video, I wanted to take a look at past and present in terms of the isla writing system. So right now we're on the isla webpage. So I'm going to go to the menu here. Under resources, there's different categories. I'm going to go down to this one, this tab here, which says Salmonberry Blossom book names. So I will click on that. And there was a book that was published in the 90s called Salmonberry Blossoms in the New Year. And it explored different plants that can be found in isla territory, specifically in the Kitlope Valley. So there was an older writing system used in that book, and I just want to do a comparison between that one and the current writing system. So at the top of the page here, we can see that it says, the isla words that are in Salmonberry Blossoms of the New Year appear to be one of Heinvink's writing systems, which are no longer used. So one of his writing systems, I believe it's his second one, or it's a modified version of his orthography. So here are the spellings according to the hybrid orthography to make it current. So you have the English names going down the left side here. In the middle is the current spelling, which is the hybrid spelling, which we've been using for a couple of years now. And then the page number that that word appears on in the original book. So the only spelling that's listed here is the hybrid spelling. So I wanted to take you into the document that I created around this. So this has English, and it also has the original spelling in the book, and it also has the hybrid spelling and the page numbers as well. So I mentioned before that the spelling that's in the book, it's based on one of Heinvink's writing systems. So Heinvink was the first established linguist to work with the isla language, and he was the first one to develop a writing system around it. And I would say this is close to his spelling system, but not quite. One thing that's missing is this G on the end. So this is pretty close to his original spelling, his second orthography. And this is the hybrid spelling. So the English word is seaweed. You have the spelling in the book, and then you have the current spelling. And this would be pronounced slak-usk. Slak-usk. So that's the pronunciation, and that's one of the reasons why the hybrid spelling is being used, is because it combines two of the previous orthographies and is really the best representation of the isla language in written format. So the second entry here is fireweed. It's on page 34. This is the book spelling, and this is the hybrid spelling, and the pronunciation is t'achum. T'achum. And just a few notes on some of the symbols here. So the way the letter C is pronounced in isla is, you have to imagine a T and an S. So it makes kind of a T sound. When it has an apostrophe over it, it becomes glottalized. So it just means that you're forcing it out a little more. So it's more like T. So that's what this apostrophe with this over top of the C means. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. A is just a regular A. And then this X with a line over top of it, this is sometimes called a back X. I call it an X bar. And it makes kind of a sound. This E has an accent mark over it. So this little symbol on top is what we call an acute accent. So it means you're going up in tone in your voice. So this is t'achum. T'achum. So you notice I'm putting more emphasis on the second syllable because the E is there. That's what this acute accent tells me. For wild rice, you have the book spelling here, and then the hybrid spelling and the pronunciation is huquum. Huquum. So pay close attention to what's happening with my mouth when I pronounce this sound here in the middle. So this is a K. It has an apostrophe over top and it has a small raised W. So this tells me that this K is rounded. So I'm rounding my lips before I make the K sound. So I'll say it again really slowly. Watch what my lips do when I'm saying it. Huquum. Huquum. So you notice my lips are rounding before I get to that K. So that's why it's a small raised W. It tells you it's part of that sound. You also notice with these two words, Heinvink tended to not use the letter E very much. I think he actually used it for a different sound. But in the hybrid spelling, this is what we call a schwa. And it would go in between consonants like these ones. So you have chum, quum. And then cow parsnip. You have the book spelling here. And then the hybrid spelling. And the pronunciation is geistum. Geistum. Skunk cabbage. The pronunciation is kuk. Kuk. So again, when I was talking about the rounded sounds, it's fairly easy to hear them when they're in the middle of a word. It's harder to hear them when they're at the end. So you notice I'm still rounding my lips and I'm still pushing out air. So I don't end it abruptly. I still end with a breath of air. Kuk. 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 And Devil's Club. So Heinrich tended to use a W instead of a U sometimes. It depends on which one of his writing systems you're looking at. In the hybrid writing system, this would be oikas. Oikas. Pacific silverweed, this is also known as clover root, also known as buttercup root. So this symbol is called a lambda, and it makes a dl sound, like a D and an L together. Heinrich used a DH. But in the hybrid writing system, the lambda, which is originally from the Greek alphabet, it sounds different in High Slikyala than it does in Greek. In our language, it sounds like dl. So the pronunciation of this word is tliksam. Tliksam. So pay close attention to the sounds when you're hearing them. So I'm making a kind of a d and a l sound together. Tl. So it's not a TL, not tl, and it's not GL, not gla. It's dl. Dliksam. For crabapple, the word is tihwa. Tihwa. So we have that t sound that I was talking about earlier. So this is a regular C, which is kind of softer than this glottalized C up here. Tihwa. The next one is wild rhubarb. And the pronunciation is toksiwali. Toksiwali. Stinging nettle, duhwa. Duhwa. This is a plant that we call hellebore, sometimes called Indian hellebore, but I usually just refer to it as hellebore, and the word is oksuli. Oksuli. So you notice there's quite a difference between Heinrich's spelling, using a letter O, and the hybrid spelling, which is A-U, which is more of an A. Oksuli. Gray currant, Casina. Casina. Thimbleberry. You can see quite a difference in the spelling. So in the book, they actually put a space between this glottalized L and the Q. Hindwink would have had this all as one word. There wouldn't be spaces between all of these symbols. And in the hybrid spelling, it's a little bit more concise. And the word is lakaha. Lakaha. So this refers to the berries themselves. This is the fruit. Next we have thimbleberry bush. So it's a different word. And it's lakahatas. Lakahatas. So this is the thimbleberry plant or the bush. And then we have thimbleberry shoots. Gwathlam. Gwathlam. Red elderberry. Kibat. Kibat. Salmonberry. Golali. Golali. Oval-leafed blueberry. Pepaksum. Pepaksum. Alaska blueberry. Siaquanath. Siaquanath. Red huckleberry. Guadum. Guadum. High bush cranberry. Dulse. Dulse. Balsam fir. Mudulas. Mudulas. So when you see this L with an apostrophe over top of it, what that means is there's going to be a little pause before the L. So if you listen closely, I said mudu, and then I kind of stopped for a split second, and then I said las. Mudu las. That's called a glottal stop because we're closing our glottis. So if you think of the way your throat is constructed, is you have a voice box, you have vocal cords inside of that voice box. So your glottis is the opening between your vocal cords. When you make a glottal stop, you're closing your glottis. So essentially, you're holding your breath. So that's when you hear it, is with glottalized L's and M's and N's, W's, Y's, things like that. That's where you will hear a slight pause before the letter. Mudulas. Red alder. Tlaquatalas. Tlaquatalas. So this symbol looks very close to the lambda that we saw up above here. So the lambda there looks kind of like a backwards upside down Y. This is the same symbol, but it has a line going through it and an apostrophe over top of it. So this makes a TL sound, and it's glottalized, so we're going to make more of a forceful sound. So it comes out as so that's where you get the aquatalas. Black cottonwood tree. Huayas. Huayas. Black cottonwood sap. Huayo. Huayo. Sitka spruce. Sisakias. Sisakias. So here you can really see a difference between Hindwink's writing system and the hybrid writing system. This is what I was talking about before with Hindwink not really using the letter E or putting schwas in between consonants. So this provides more of a visual break in between those consonants, and it is a little bit easier to look at and to pronounce. Next we have Western yew tree. Tlumk. Tlumk. Western red cedar. Dunyas. Dunyas. So I should point out that this is the tree. There's a different word for the wood, and there's a different word for the bark of the red cedar tree. So the wood is actually referred to as guachtlo. Luquachtlo. And the bark, when it's turned into strips, it's called Danas. Danas. And last one here is coastal western hemlock. And the pronunciation is Luquas. Luquas. So that's a look at the one of the earliest Heisler writing systems and the new one in the book Salmonberry Blossoms in the New Year. So that's it for this video. Until next time, exquiguelas. Goodbye.